Hi, I'm Ben.
And I'm Ron. Welcome to A Few Good Scenes.
In this show, we're going to take a look at some not-so-great movies and see if we can find any redeeming qualities in them. So today we watched the animated film Hoodwinked.
It's a 2005 movie from the Weinstein Company with an $8 million budget.
That's right, and I think it earned back 16 times its budget, is that right?
Yep, $110 million in returns.
That's a lot of money.
That's pretty good.
From a shitty movie.
This is a big and tall mistake.
Yeah, so Hoodwinked, horrible animation.
It looked like a bad computer game cutscene.
Yeah.
Like from the 90s or something.
And the worst part is that it's in 2005 this was made. Toy Story, which was made a decade ago, looked so much better than this. It's embarrassing. The Weinstein Company should be absolutely embarrassed by how this looks.
As more recipes go missing, the trail has gotten hotter. Huh?
Well, you know you're in for a bad time when in your opening scene, when she confronts the big bad wolf.
Yeah,
you begin to realize that the people doing the models, the animations, they could either make the mouth move or they could make a body part move. But they very rarely did them both at the same time.
Like, they couldn't keep the characters flowing. They would, like, move their neck up, and then their neck would completely freeze, and then their face would move, and then their neck would, like, move a little bit more. And it was very robotic. Like, they were all moving, like very stiff.
Especially the woodsman. The woodsman had the stiffest skeleton.
There was some times where the woodsman would, like, move, and then, like, he would even jerk back a little bit. And I was like, why?
I didn't notice that.
Like, you need to ease the characters into their animations.
Paws Bunion Cream has the soothing formula to make the bunions head for the hills.
And as for the predictable plot, the plot becomes predictable about at the third scene.
Little flashback, I guess.
Yeah, the third flashback in this storytelling movie. And we know it's a kid's movie, but we don't think that you should treat kids like idiots.
Because, okay, is this going to be spoiler-filled?
I think at this point, anyone who's wanted to see Hoodwinked probably has.
Okay, we could put like a spoiler warning. Because the rabbit is the guy who did it, basically.
Right.
Not the bunny!
And it was pretty obvious that the rabbit did it.
You've spoiled the surprise.
Okay.
So the plot of this movie is that there are all these bakeries, all these sweet businesses, and someone's stealing the recipes from all of them.
Right.
Well, two things came to mind. Number one, why doesn't anybody have any of these memorized?
Right.
Number two, why does every single person who lives in the forest own a sweet shop?
There was that one film business with the snake or lizard or whatever. That was the only business. Oh, yeah, that was pretty much it.
Yeah, and it wasn't even like in the woods, it was like outside the woods.
Right, so if you live in the woods, you're gonna own a restaurant.
Yeah.
That's settled.
It's like, talk about market saturation. Basic economics there, people.
Oh, yeah. What?
Well, there was the squirrel.
Oh, yes.
To me, the squirrel was so unfunny. And if you go back and you look at the marketing, the squirrel was what they were betting their money on. Why is it that kids' movies have to have some spastic weirdo? Are you saying that you're so disgusted by your audience that you don't trust them to pay attention, that you have to, throw in something that's like, just to keep their attention? That's nonsense.
I thought that I really liked how when he spoke, and they like slowed down his dialogue, it was something like very eloquent and computery. I thought that was clever.
The criminal you're looking for is going down the mountain. You gotta go up the mountain to find the criminal you're looking for. You gotta turn around because we gotta go up and you were trying to detain him.
Okay.
The criminal you're looking for cannot be found at the bottom of the mountain. He resides at the top, in a cave fortress where my companions are trying to detain him.
But like they only did that at the end.
Right. Well, I think one thing that worked well for it is that one of the trademarks of something that moves really fast, if it's not just a blur, it's that it can jump around. And with the robotic motions that this movie had so often, robotic motions work well for something that's supposed to move that fast. They even played off of it a few times.
Yeah.
When they gave him the coffee, he just does like boop, 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 boop.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that could have worked.
But again, that scene where they gave him the coffee, it was so not funny.
Yeah.
Where he's like trying so hard to be like, haha, look, he's getting crazy, guys, but it's just kind of like, okay.
Well, yeah. So like, one thing they really tried to rely on is let's show this guy's teeth. Let's Make him
Yeah.
smile big. And it's like, it doesn't work. It just doesn't. It's not funny.
This guy's a loon.
Watch it, Chief. My mama's half loon.
So that's the bad perception. Now we ask, what works?
There was some bit that worked. I think that this was the first kids movie I thought that didn't have a straight linear narrative. It started like, oh, here's the setup, let's go back and see what really happens from a whole bunch of different perspectives, which I thought was creative, and I haven't really seen that in a kids movie until now.
We've got 4 suspects, and that means 4 stories. And if you get people talking long enough, someone will spill the beans.
Beans?
Well, yeah, that's something that I think really worked, is the way that the stories were told.
Yes.
So when Little Red Riding Hood is on a gondola and she falls into the forest, from her point of view, when she's telling the story, it's all dark. There's sunbeams that only illuminate
and you
her.
can't see the wolf,
Right.
who's also there. Like, you can kind of see him, but he's in shadow.
Yeah.
And then when the wolf is telling a story, it's bright, and you can see the wolf, and it's not as ominous and dark as it was when Little Red Riding Hood was saying it.
And he explains all the scary things that he did.
Right, like he growled at her because that's what wolves do, but really he just got his tail caught
Right.
in something. And it just kind of like adds another layer to the story we just heard from Little Red Riding Hood, and I think that works pretty well.
Well, and the other thing is that the wolf says all these things that sound so evil. Like,
Yeah.
I'll get you and your grandmother too.
But then, from his context,
Right.
it kind of...
He thinks that they're the bad guys. So, from their point of view, it's another one of those things. It makes sense, but from his point of view, oh, he's the good guy.
Yeah. There's also a couple gags that play with that. Like when Little Red Riding Hood's telling her story, like all these little hummingbirds lift off her
Yeah.
bike, and it's so glorious and cute. And I was just like, okay, whatever, little cartoon. And then like the wolf is spying on her in the bushes, and you see like her flying around on like a bike, and it was hilarious. I thought that was so funny.
Yeah, it's like, look at all this Disney nonsense. And then it's like, wow, this looks so weird.
Yeah.
What the schnitzel?
Actually, one thing that I really liked that I want to talk about is when you're telling one of these stories from multiple angles, one of the most important things to do is connect them. And I think they did that pretty well.
Very well.
The wolf blew up the minecart, so you have an explanation. You know, it's
Of
not
why
just...
Red just launches off.
Yeah, it's not, this stupid, oh, well, this minecart, it was just busted off years
Yeah.
ago. There was a good explanation. The avalanche, there was a good explanation for that.
Definitely.
The grandma, like, floating through
Yeah.
the air. The only thing was the woodsman. It didn't have anything to do with
No
anything.
relevance to the plot at all. He's just an actor. The other people are trying to figure out who did it, but he just like is in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah.
Which it was the weakest of the flashbacks.
He's a red herring, but not even a good one.
Nope.
Because he has so little to do with the story. If they had questioned him first, he would have been let go.
Yeah, definitely.
Just a
He
few
had-
minutes.
But because he was questioned third, it was...
Yeah. So the only reason they really had him in is, you have the dynamic of the Little Red Riding Hood story, so the woodsman has to be there.
Well, plus everyone just knows, like fairy tales, there's a woodsman somewhere.
Well, I think it's safe to say that our thespian friend here knows the least about anything of anyone in this room.
Exactly!
Here's what I thought was interesting. It has to do with the characters. And every character very much subverted your expectations, which I think is what this whole thing was
Yeah.
about. So,
Like, you mean like at the beginning you think of them one way, and at the end you're like, oh, they're completely
well,
different.
so something you have to understand when you're working with fairy tales, especially the very old ones, is how are we going to make this fresh? And so Little Red Riding Hood, she wants more. She wants to explore the world. The Big Bad Wolf. He's not big. He's not bad. He's kind of pathetic, and he's a journalist.
Right.
And then the Woodsman is an actor, and also,
You got a point there. Like, they did a good job
yeah,
of modernizing it and adding another layer that we didn't quite see. And that can bring us to our like, the character models. Well, I guess we already kind of touched upon
well, actually, one
models.
character I want to talk about is the goat.
Oh,
I
yeah.
thought the goat was a very, from a design perspective, very interesting character.
With his switchable
Yeah.
antler or horns. I thought it was so funny how, like, when you first see him, he's like rocking on him. I was like, oh, that's a cool choice.
Conclusions from Hoodwinked.
Yes, animation could have been better.
Animation could have been better.
The good part was the narrative, how it was non-linear. Couple jokes worked, couple didn't. Would you recommend anyone to watch this movie?
That's an interesting question, because I want to say that there was enough okay stuff that maybe it's not even it's not even like a long movie. It's
Right, it's
like
only 90.
93 minutes. I want to say that, you know, if you just got some time, if you're just want to waste some time, watch something kind of lighthearted that'll subvert your expectations, then Hoodwinked might be okay.
Yes.
What do you think?
Same. I wouldn't necessarily. I'm not looking. If you want to watch this movie, don't look for greatness.
Yeah.
Because it's not great. It's okay, but it could have been a lot better. But and if you just want something to numb your brain for like, or put on the background for like a couple minutes or 90 minutes, then I feel like it'd be worth it to watch.
Well, actually, something I do is like just listen to a show, and I think that would work well for Hoodwinked because the visuals are so bad, but it's almost all the humor comes from speaking, with a few slapstick exceptions.
Yeah. Like if you just listen to it, then it makes it
way
works.
better.
It works, definitely.
What? Say it! Spit it out! What's going on?
So that was Hoodwinked.
And next week we're watching Spider-Man 3.
So stay tuned.
Or something.
Yeah.
This was a few good scenes. Woo!
A few good scenes.
End of episode 1. Let's go.
Schnitzel!
Mommy, I want a schnitzel stick!
Schnitzel, the favorite treat for little girls and boys to eat. Schnitzel man can serve them quick. It's a schnitzel on a stick.
No more spoons! Use your hands!
Says the friendly schnitzel man.
Make sure you keep an extra one for later in your later hose.